Hi, so today I'm gonna do a 2 months roundup. So basically I'm gonna tell you all about the products I tried in the last 2 months, so in May and June. So I have 3 categories that I'm gonna be putting the products in. The first one is the products I absolutely loved. The second one is the products I liked, but I just wasn't obsessed with them. And the third category is my disappointments. If I'm gonna be honest, I really struggle filming these videos because English is not my first language. So I feel like I'm not that good at explaining why I don't like something or why I do like it. Like, I know how I feel, but it's really hard for me to exactly put that into words, I guess. So I do have my notes and I'm gonna try my best. But yeah, it's just a bit of a hard video for me to film. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. It means so much to me, and now let's get into it. So I'm gonna start with the products I loved. I have 2 eyeshadow palettes. The first one is the Pat McGrath Mothership 10, the Moonlit Seduction one. This was my first Pat McGrath palette that I tried. I did a whole video trying Pat McGrath for the first time, and I absolutely loved this palette. First of all, I love this color story. I just love these shades. They are very wearable for me, and it is a palette I reach for quite a lot. If not for the mattes, then just for the shimmers alone. I just like to take one of these shimmers and just kind of put it all over my lid. I think that looks just so beautiful. I mean, it's a Pat McGrath palette. It is really good. Is it overpriced? Probably, but I just love it so much. These shimmers are just insane. I'm gonna swatch a few. I used this one, I think, last time all over my lid, and I loved it. So let me swatch a few shimmers. I mean, that is just so stunning. It literally looks like glitter, and it is so beautiful on your eyes. Let me swatch this gold one as well. It is just such a good palette, and yeah, there's really nothing much I have to say about it. I do really love it. I do have to say, if you're planning on buying a Pat McGrath palette, definitely don't pay full price, because she has sales very often and you just don't need to pay full price for this. It is definitely, I don't think it's worth like that much money, but it is a good palette. So definitely get a discount, because she does have them pretty often, so you don't have to pay full price. I don't think I would pay full price. Maybe now that I do have a channel, I would, just to review. But other than that, I don't think I would pay full price for these, but luckily she does have sales pretty often. But yeah, it is just a very good palette, like a very special palette. It's like nothing else I have in my collection, so it is definitely a very unique palette in my collection as well. The second palette that I was just so impressed by is the Natasha Denona Yucca palette. I'm still not sure how to say it, but whatever. This is such a good palette. She has definitely improved her formula. The shimmers are honestly quite insane. They do remind me quite a lot of the Pat McGrath shimmers. Let me actually swatch a few so we can kind of compare them. I'm gonna swatch this one. You see, it is very glittery. It definitely is not as glittery as the Pat McGrath shades, but I think it is very similar, and that's something that I'm not used to in the Natasha Denona formula. I don't know, I just think that she improved the formula a lot, and the shimmers are just like so much better. Let me swatch this one as well, and maybe this one. I feel like the shimmers before were nothing really special, but this palette is just so amazing. I do like the color story. I love the color story. Like, when I look at this color story, I do love it, but it's not something that I would reach for a whole lot, because it is quite a bit more on the bold side for me, I would say. These are not the shades I would wear on it daily, I guess. But I do like the color story. It's not something that I would wear every day, I guess. And I loved every single look I have created with this palette. I think it is just such a stunning palette. So if you like this color story, I would definitely recommend this one. It is such a good, like, quality wise good eyeshadow palette. I really do like it. Now I have a third palette I only used once, but I did want to mention it because I did still try it out in, I think it was May that I tried it out for the first time. It is the Natasha Denona Glam palette. I think I only used 2 shades, so I really am not gonna say anything much about this palette, but I have really enjoyed it the one time that I used it, and I love this color story. It is definitely something I would use quite often. I just honestly didn't have the time in the last 2 months, but I definitely am planning on using this a lot more, and I do think I'm really gonna enjoy it. Okay, my first base favorite is the Rare Beauty Illuminating Primer. I love this one so much. I don't really reach for primers all that often, and if I do, it's gonna be a glowy primer. But I feel like the other glowy primers that I have just add glow, and that's pretty much it. But this one adds hydration as well, which is really important to me because I do have really dry skin, and I feel like this one adds the most glow as well. It adds just such a beautiful glow, and the most important thing, it hydrates my skin as well. So this one is really good, especially if you have dry skin. This one has very quickly replaced all of my other glowy primers. Another favorite is the Natasha Denona Color Corrector. I have mine in the shade C1, so the lightest one. This is just so good. It has very quickly replaced my love for the Charlotte Tilbury Color Corrector. This one is just so much better in my opinion. Whenever I use this, I'm so amazed just how much it corrects my dark circles. It is quite unbelievable in my opinion, and I have been using it pretty much daily, and I really love it. And now we have a lot of blushes. I love blushes, so that's not a surprising thing to me. I'm gonna start with the Pat McGrath blushes because I think these were the ones I tried first. The first shade that I have is Desert Orchid. It is like a really beautiful, warm, everyday kind of a blush shade. Let me swatch it. It is such a pretty bronzy shade. It is so pretty for summer. And the other shade that I have is Nymphette. This is the one I used in today's demo. This one is again a very everyday blush, but just a bit more pink. I love these two shades honestly for everyday, but I do want to get one of the more mauve-y, deeper shades. This is just such a stunning blush. It is like nothing else I have in my collection. It adds such a nice glow to the cheek, and it looks just so beautiful on the skin. Honestly, I don't have a blush that's even close to this. Honestly, these have quickly become one of my favorite powder blushes I own, and the shades are stunning as well. I really do want to get a few more shades. Then we have these two Merit blushes. I love these so much. But first of all, this component is so cute. I think these are just so cute to just look at. I love this little packaging that they come in. Now, I don't think Merit is available in Europe. At least I don't think so. I'm not sure, but I don't think it is. Which is kind of sad because I think that I would really love their products. My sister got me these when she went to Florida. So I have two shades. I have the shade Cheeky. Cheeky is the one I used today. It is like a really nice cooler toned pink. And the other shade I have is of course the mauve shade. I have the shade Roseberry Beret. I'm gonna swatch it here. This one is definitely a bit more mauve-y. I mean, honestly, they're kind of similar, but I do love them both. I don't know, I feel like I have used Cheeky a bit more, but I do love this shade as well. The formula is really nice. I feel like, again, it's not matte. It adds such a nice glow to the cheek. And for a balmy blush, they're quite pigmented. They're definitely not like overly pigmented. You can definitely sheer them out or build the pigment if you wish. But you know, for a balm, I thought they would be like really sheer, but they're definitely not. You can definitely build the pigment. And I love them. I love to look at them. I love to use them. And I have been using them quite a lot, honestly. And the third blush, which is probably my favorite one, is the Viral Dior blush. I love it so much. So it looks really crazy and really vibrant in the pan, but when you put it on your cheeks, it just looks so beautiful. I did use it on top of the other two blushes today. It doesn't really swatch that well, and when you swatch it, the shade is not really the most flattering, but when you put it on your cheeks, it looks so pretty. And I feel like I have a very warm undertone, so I feel like most blushes tend to look very warm, and I don't really like that. So this is like a perfect blush for me because it does not look very warm. It kind of stays a really nice pretty pink shade, and I love that. It is definitely, well, I could say it's my favorite blush shade that I own. Even though I love mauve shades, I don't own a pink like this, and I think it is such a perfect pink for spring and summer. I mean, pretty much all year around you can use this blush and it's gonna look absolutely stunning. Yeah, it is definitely worth the hype in my opinion because it is just so beautiful on the skin. And I have heard a few people say that it's like not pigmented enough. I like that, especially for a shade that is as vibrant as this. It is definitely not like too pigmented, but you can build it up, and I do like that for a shade like this because it's really easy to go overboard with a very vibrant blush like this. So I don't mind that it's not too pigmented. I actually really do enjoy the formula as well. And the last product in my favorite category are these Huda Beauty lip stains. Now I have to say I haven't used these much because I just don't use lipstick all that much, if I'm gonna be honest. I mostly just use a lip liner and a gloss on top of that, and I call it a day. I really don't reach for lipsticks, lip products all that much in general, but I have used them a couple of times and I really do like them. Is it maybe because it is my first lip stain that I have ever tried? Maybe. But I really do like them. I love the shades. So I have the shades Rosy Kiss. I used Rosy Kiss today. So this is Rosy Kiss. I just wouldn't really use them on its own. I would usually put a gloss on top of this because I have very dry lips and I cannot stand that dry feeling. And the other shade that I have is Berry Kiss. I also love that you can use these on the cheeks and they perform really beautifully on the cheeks, and you can achieve that very beautiful monochromatic look. So these are just perfect for that, and I do really like them. And now we move on to the products I liked, but I just wasn't really obsessed with them. The first one is the Melt Cosmetics Gemini 2. This is the one I used today. It is definitely better than the first Gemini palette. I didn't struggle with this palette as much as I did with the first Gemini one. I feel like these shades were a bit easier to use, but overall just nothing special. It is a very grungy palette, so it's not something I would reach for on a daily. I do like it. I do think you can create some really beautiful looks with it, but it's not something that it's definitely not something I'm like amazed by, I guess. The second product in my like category is the Natasha Denona concealer. Mine is in the shade Y2. And honestly, I think this would be in my favorites if I didn't have this shade. The shade is just a bit too dark for me, and I am very tempted to get a lighter shade, either Y1 or N1. Every time I use this concealer, I absolutely love my base, but I just don't reach for it all that often because it is just a bit too dark for me. That is partially my fault because I wanted a concealer that I could use all over my face that wasn't really brightening, because I feel like all the concealers I have are very bright, and I wanted a concealer that's closer to my skin tone. But this one is just a touch too dark for me. I do think if I get a bit more tan it's gonna be fine, but I don't know, I just don't reach for it as much because of the shade. That's pretty much the only reason why it's in my liked category, because I didn't want to put it in my favorite category because I just don't reach for it that much, but it is mostly the shade. The formula is amazing, It works amazing for my dry skin, and I really enjoy it. It's just the shade that I don't like. And we have the Pat McGrath bronzer. Again, very similar thing to that Natasha Denona concealer. The shade is what I don't like. I have the lightest shade, and it is just, it is not too light for me. It does still work. It does still add like a nice bronziness to my face, but I like a lot of bronzer, so this is just not enough for me. And I feel like I keep dipping into it like 100 times to get a bit more color, and I feel like I have used honestly quite a lot of it already, and I only had it for a month because I keep dipping my brush in it like 100 times until I get a bit more color, which is not ideal. I actually wanted the second lightest shade, but it was sold out, so I don't know why I didn't wait for that shade to be back in stock, but I just got this shade, and I do think that in winter I would really like it because it is a bit more subtle, it's a bit more cool toned. Now, because it's summer, I honestly don't reach for it that much. I have a lot of other bronzers that I would rather reach now, and that's kind of sad, but again, it is partially my fault. I could have just waited for the other shade to be back in stock. I do really love the formula. It is so beautiful on the skin, but the shade, again, is not my favorite. And the last product in my liked category is the Milk Makeup Highlighter Stick. I love this shade, but honestly, it is a bit too sheer for me. I love that this shade is very close to my skin tone, but I just feel like it does not do that much. I love a lot of highlighter, and this one is just a bit too sheer for me. I really don't feel like it does that much at all. I feel like I can get this effect with my skincare or with my primer. I don't feel like I need this highlighter to get this amount of glow that this highlighter gives me. Again, I don't hate it, but I don't really like it either that much. It's okay, but it's not something I would reach for all that often. And now we come to my disappointments. I only have two products. First one is this Essence Lash Princess Mascara, the purple one. I was so disappointed by this, I cannot even begin to tell you, because I think I have tried all the other colors, not the colors, but the versions of this mascara, I guess, and I loved all of them, so I really wanted to try the purple one as well, because I thought if I loved all of them, I'm probably gonna love the purple one as well. I don't. I hate it. And the funniest thing to me is that this one is called Sculpted Volume. It does not give me volume at all. I feel like it just clumps my lashes together, and that's pretty much all that it does. And I have tried really hard, okay? This was the only mascara I owned for a month, and I have been using it every single day for a month. It is just really, really bad, and I really, really don't like it. And the last product are these Melt Cosmetics lip liners. Now, I don't necessarily hate these. I think the formula is fine, but it is, again, the shades. I got 3 shades, I think, out of 5 that I have, and they're all very warm and very similar to one another. Let me swatch them. So the first one that I have is Bear. Okay, I'm gonna swatch them here. So this is Bear. Then I have the shade Cinnamon. Can you even see that? And the third shade I have is Cashmere. I mean, from far away, this all looks like one shade to me. They're just very similar and very warm, and I don't like a warm lip liner, if I'm gonna be honest. I like something mauvey, something cooler toned, or pink. I just don't like a warm lip all that much. I don't think I would use them all that much, and if I would only use one shade because these shades are so similar to me. I really did not need all 3 shades, so yeah, it's just, I was kind of really disappointed mostly in these shades, but I will not reach for these like ever. So yeah, that is pretty much it for today's video. I don't know if I should keep making these videos because I really struggle. I really do, and I feel like what I say does not make a lot of sense because I don't know how to express my thoughts into words. So I don't know if it made any sense whatsoever. I really did try my best, but I think looking back to this video, I'm probably gonna hate it because I feel like I'm all over the place, and I just feel like I cannot put my thoughts into words properly. But yeah, I did try my best, and I really hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.